Welcome to DeadWax.
Welcome back
we
to
have
DeadWax.
with us Tommy King, one of my favorite people, producers, writers. Tommy and I have known each other a long time. I'm so excited for you guys to get hip to the magic that is Tommy King. He's a producer, a writer, a keyboard player. He toured with HAIM for a long time as their music director. He's worked with The Killers, Vampire Weekend, Maroon 5, Ray, Leslie Odom Jr., most recently Dijon, which we're going to talk about, and LANY. Should we dive right in and listen to this Dijon song?
Let's do it.
Cool. Here we go.
This is automatic.
It's late on the night, I guess you kinda rushed. I get it that it's been a while, but don't you feel the last degrees? Well, baby, is it automatic? How could it be so automatic? It's too sweet. So when you say it's time, well, really on time I be. And what you want to, I know. Just hold me like I'm down with you. Baby, is it automatic? Tell me you did it for me. Well, you can't get it up, sipping like a cup for me. Was feeling kinda like I was back, so when you pull it out, baby, is it automatic? Still be that it's automatic, I need. And when you want it,
Oh, woo, dude.
But Tommy boy,
That's so sick.
how did this start?
Yeah, it started through a mutual friend of ours, a good friend of mine who's an incredibly gifted producer in his own right, named BJ Burton. We were working together one day, and he was like, "Oh, we should have Dijon come over." He called Dijon. He was like, "Come over. I'm right down the street." And he's like, "What are you talking about? There's no studio. I walk my dog past that house every day. There's no studio down the street, huh?" And BJ was like, "No, there is." Shows up. That's the first time I met him, and he was just getting started, fleshing out ideas for his second album. Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple different chapters of it. So that's how it started, and we got along, and we were just kind of like cooking up stuff for a couple days here and there, and he'd take it back to his house. And he had a child, or his wife at that time was pregnant, so it was kind of it was off and on, in terms of how
often you guys worked.
Yeah. There was a second wind of us working together, which took place over the course of an entire month at my studio, where BJ came back in town. And yeah, we just kind of like set up a couple drum machines and...
What drum machines?
Octatrack,
Okay.
an MPC, a TR8. Those are the main ones. Mm-hmm. And some modular stuff. And then I was on keyboards, and it just so happened that Pino Palladino was in town, so he would come over like every night. It started at about 7-8 p.m. and they went to like 5 6 a.m. Yeah,
He'd put his kid to bed and then come over.
And this was happening like every night?
We were in there for a month. Yeah.
Wow, a month, like almost every day.
Yeah, it was like a debaucherous month.
And then at the end of that month, was like mostly everything tracked, or was there a lot of stuff that happened at the end of that?
It was just like skeletons.
Yeah.
It was we would basically just have like 30-minute jams, and then we'd slice them up, and
what would Dijon be playing?
He'd be on his drum machines and his modular stuff, with the microphone, just kind of like scratching. Yeah, I mean, he's just like it's just all for him. It's all like freestyle.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like going back home and writing out lyrics.
Yeah.
So it's automatic, you might say.
Automatic.
Yeah.
So it's just like catching vibes.
And you're playing synths.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what's BJ playing?
He's on his TR8, and he's usually on Pro Tools if I'm playing synths. So he's sitting with his TR8 in his lap.
But is it fair to say like something like this feels like, it doesn't feel like you guys sat down and played a song. It's like chopped, and like there's sections and jams, and you take a sample and you repeat it over and over and over again, and then he'll write something on top, right? You're not like playing a 3-minute song.
No, there's definitely different chapters to it, like I was saying, like it starts off just like getting a skeleton of an idea, and okay, that's a vibe. And that was a month, and then we were worn out. BJ went back to Minneapolis. Dijon went back to his family. And then there was a couple things he did in the interim between the next phase. I think he was out in the desert with some people and working out of his garage. He set up a studio in his garage. And February, March, we got together again and decided to go to Westlake for 2 weeks. And because we thought it would just be a good idea, it was like a place where we thought we could focus and have, people get things if we need them and, connect stuff and bake cookies.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like, I think it was, the consensus was like, let's go to a place where it feels professional and then maybe that'll hone us in a little bit.
Yeah, right.
That was kind of another just chapter of accumulating stuff.
So were you during that phase? Did you start with anything that you'd done before, or this is again? Okay.
Yeah. So he had at that point a batch of songs.
Okay.
I think there were like 14 songs on the whiteboard.
Between those 2 points, had he corralled stuff and made it into forms and fleshed out lyrics? Like, was he sort of the guy after the session piecing it together and making it into something that looked like a song?
Well, he works closely with another producer, engineer, mixer, a very talented guy named Andrew Sarlo.
Yeah,
and Andrew really does a really good job at kind of being the bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Dijon calls it, we call it graffiti music.
Yeah.
And so it can get literally very messy in terms of like files and what's going on. And so, Andrew definitely, that's a major asset of him. I mean, he's ride or die.
Yeah.
And he was able to kind of curate all this stuff and be like, okay, these are the ideas in a way that they're actually...
It really does feel... Graffiti music is a great term for it because, I mean, I don't want to call it a collage, but it just feels like ideas that kind of... I almost can't even figure out how they fit together to make a whole, but it does give you a sense of a singular vibe and feeling.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dijon is an artist in the purest sense of the word, like truly, and he's an incredible producer, and he has a vision, and I think he assembles a group of people to kind of help lift him up and help him get there. Ultimately, it's his thing. It's just insane what's going on in that guy's brain, and I think that the record is just an illustration of what's happening in his mind.
Was he doing that same thing? Because how many of the songs that made the record came from those sort of sessions? Were you a part of?
5, I believe 5, yeah.
Was he doing that same thing that he was doing with you guys with different camps?
It's all kind of the same camp.
Okay.
Like the camp. I don't want to leave anybody out, but it's all the same camp. There's 4 or 5 people who are consistent.
Nice.
Throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
And his whole thing is just wanting to create art, like at the core of it, like that's all he cares about.
Yeah, he's pure an artist.
He wants to shake things up. I mean, it seems like for 75 years, commercial music, I wouldn't call it pop music, but commercial music, pop music, whatever, is like it's always been a certain thing, and nobody's been like, wait, hold on a second, why does it have to be that way? Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because there's a business behind it. So I don't know. I mean, not to get too deep into this, like maybe the A&R labels are like, whoa, this is what a song should be or something. So this is what and I think that he really informed not only other musicians, but like maybe the business that like you can, go off the rails a little bit. And that was his whole thing. Like for example, Automatic, I was like, dude, that's crazy. That intro's crazy.
Like it's so not what you would expect.
Check it out.
That's such a pleasing loop. That's like a beautiful little sample.
Well, baby, in the night, get you a little time for me.
And then again,
okay,
it does it here. It does it again where it's just an awkward pause.
Yeah.
Can we get nitty gritty?
Yeah.
In terms of when his vocal comes in, how is he processing? Like, how is his vocal treated? What was he like? Is he singing through some sort of chain, or is that all done after the fact?
People ask that question so much because he has such a identifiable sound.
Yeah.
It's literally just his voice.
Yeah.
There's nothing. I mean, it's just it normally is
like a 50 like SM7 was he?
So, it depends. Sometimes you can be in his garage with I don't know what's he using, like a 414 or something.
Yeah.
And other times, backtrack, but Westlake, he's just SM57 and the mains are as loud as they can go.
Yeah.
And then what you're hearing, the processing, like you're hearing bleed.
Yeah.
You're literally hearing the entire song coming through.
Right.
You're hearing a million different vocals.
Yeah.
I mean, they're stacked, and it's just fully freestyle.
And are you guys doing that in that session? So in that room with Pino and everybody else, you're just like doing overdubs, finding parts as a band to play, cranking the mains, and him doing vocals live in front of you guys. Like, is that? It
was kind of just another discovery period where we kind of went in there and we're just like collecting more information.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And a couple people came by. I mean, Pino was there. Mike Gordon was there. Who else was there? Buddy Ross came in for a couple days. And it was just kind of this revolving door of like, set your shit up and play something and see what happens.
Yeah.
But also, trying to figure out, okay, are certain songs going to make it or not?
Yeah. How many songs would you say came out of that didn't make it?
Well, nothing. The last chapter that, I was involved with was the Westlake chapter, which happened in March. And we already had, like, the framework was there. We knew what songs were going to be on the record. There was a couple others that, didn't make it.
Yeah.
But, for the most part, it was all there. No, there was, other than there may have been maybe one or two that actually, the genesis of those were at Westlake.
Yeah.
I could make it till like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then I've got to go home.
Yeah.
And it seems like, it's a different mindset, man. And then, so everybody was kind of burnt out. I think it became a little overwhelming too. And I think ultimately it was like there was a lot of opinions.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of everybody in the room extremely talented and, make great albums in their own right.
Yeah.
But ultimately it was like the next phase was Dijon going into the garage and finishing it for 2 months.
And he did that by himself?
He did that by himself with the help of Sarlo, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I think it felt like we were all contributing and, everybody's contributions are, across the entire album.
Yeah.
From that period of time. But ultimately, Dijon being that incredible, producer that he is needed to isolate.
Yeah.
And figure it out.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first heard this stuff, he was like, hey, man, it's done. Okay, and walked over and listened. We live 4 houses away from each other.
Nice.
And I went to his garage and I was just like, what did you do?
Was it way different from where you left it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there were some songs that weren't.
Yeah.
But I mean, what he did was turn it into, like I said, just, an interpolation of what is going on in that wild, brain.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he had to take it home and finish it and make it his album.
It seems like the way you describe the process, what first comes to mind for me, and I'm curious if this resonates with you or you feel like it's not the right analogy, but like there are multiple steps of like the creative process I found. There's like the first step can often just be like collecting information, as you called it, just like outputting sounds, ideas, like just like total raw creativity.
Sure.
And this is even true with like writing, you just like brain dump, get it out on paper. And then there's like the second phase, which is like the organization of all that into something that is meaningful.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you would describe this process? Like it's roughly those two parts?
Definitely. I think, to my knowledge, he had never been in like a commercial studio like that. So that was a little like, it felt like a little slick. And the stuff that was happening there, I think, where, those songs could have gone in a certain direction where they're like, just more smooth. And I think the last process actually for him was it almost went backwards. Like it did what you were, are explaining, but then at the end he was like, I've got to like
disorganize. Yeah.
The whole point is to like make somebody feel something. That's what art is, right? Even if they're like disturbed by it. Or like, ooh, man, this is tough to listen to. That's effective.
Yeah.
So, that was his.
But this still feels, this is absolutely graffiti. It's absolutely chaos. but it's also very organized. Those like those like big samples, like those are these like little markers in terms of structure. At least they help me kind of, it's like a "you are here" thing on a map, you know, it like helps me understand where the song is. And then it like builds up to that ending. The drums finally come in, a backbeat finally comes in, and it's so satisfying. And that comes like, there is organization to this.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it's not just brain dump. Like it feels structured in a really nice way that like lands.
And it still feels like pop music. It still feels like a song with chord. Like it's not free jazz. You know what I mean? It's like graffiti that's been honed into something. And then to me, it sounds like, in addition to the process you guys are describing, it sounds like there was a period of deletion. Like it sounds like to me what he might have done when he like took it with Sarlo and went back into his garage is figure out like what needs to be there and probably mute a bunch of shit. And like what he does so masterfully, what you guys have done so masterfully is like there's so much that's implied but not stated.
Yes.
Like he's so good at that.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you're saying, there's something so magical about just his voice. Yeah. Like I feel like when someone is that talented as a producer, their voice gets overlooked. I feel like Justin Bon Iver is like that, where like people don't realize like that motherfucker can sing.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
He really can.
Dijon too. Like he can sing, and his voice is so powerful. But yeah, the implied stuff, some of which like gets explicitly stated towards the end with like the backbeat and whatnot, but it's so powerful when shit grooves without there being a lot there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, his background, like, you know, he's from Baltimore and comes from like, you know, like the MC world, like, as you know, ODB, Old Dirty Bastard, is like, you know, a massive reference for him, you know, and it was like, you know, there was a process where it like all kind of gets chopped and like sampled again, and like, you know, it's like I feel like when I hear the music, I kind of envision him as like an MC, like spinning this at a club.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the way the music sounds to me.
How much of a perfectionist is he?
That's tough to say, man.
How much of a perfectionist are you?
I'm trying to undo that. I really am.
Is that your nature?
To a degree. I don't think I'm a perfectionist like other people. I think I'm honestly just kind of down the middle. But like, I mean, I'm trying to, you know, it's funny, like as a side note, for example, like when I record myself or something, play piano, you know, I'll go back and tell my engineer, you know, like, dude, quantize that. You know, put it on the grid. Yeah. You know, and then I also notice that like, you know, if I go work for another producer or play piano, I notice that they never do that. Yeah. You know, and I'm like, well, aren't you gonna? And they're like, no, that sounds good, man. That's why you're here. You know, it's like a feel. So I've been making, you know, a pretty hard effort to like kind of undo whatever that is and just put like feeling back into the music I've been making and producing.
There's a voice inside of you that says that's not good enough the way it is.
Yeah, definitely.
And the feedback you're getting from people you work with is like, no, that's great.
Yeah, but also like I've been playing piano for like 25 years. I don't think I'm like out of, like, I'm not in time.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's DNA.
Yeah.
Is what it is. You know? Yeah. So I think that Dijon's just always climbing and striving for something, you know, even when, you know, this album's about to come out, he's just thinking about what's the next move? Yeah. Where does he go now? How much further can he go? What can he push? And I say, in that way, it's kind of, you know, like parallel to a perfectionist. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's, you know, it's always just constantly, you know, what next?
Okay, we're going to get into specific sounds over on our Patreon page. It's free to listen to the second half of this conversation with Tommy King. We're going to get into the specifics of this Dijon song and talk about some other of Tommy's influences in addition to song he produced for LANY. We'll see you over there on our Patreon. Thanks for watching.